Have you guys ever remembered something in Shindo Life or just forgot it completely? Well, that's what this video is all about. This video is going to be about the 20 things that you might have or have forgotten about Shindo Life. So if you guys forgot anything on this list, feel free to comment below what it was and hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get right into the video, guys. Alright, so the number one thing that everyone forgets about Shindo Life is the ramen shop mechanic. Now, what I mean by the ramen shop mechanic is that you actually get hungry in the game, and when you're hungry, you actually regen less. So it depends on the amount you regen. If you regen all your HP back, you will be hungry. Pretty much there's a ramen shop in almost every single village. You go to the ramen shop, you eat at it, and it actually will increase your HP regen. While this isn't very important for RPG, it is important for other game modes just because healing is a lot harder to come by and you can't just leave the game whenever you get destroyed. But yeah, the ramen shop mechanic is actually quite an important mechanic in the game because if you actually eat ramen before you go into competitive, it actually allows you to basically regen an entire HP bar extra than you would otherwise. Also, with the ramen shop, usually, you know, people generally forget about the ramen shop because consumables exist in the game, but the ramen shop is basically a consumable all on its own. It's a free thing to do in the game, so don't forget about it, and it actually will help you out if you're a new player. Now, number two is going to be, if you have Akuma, you can actually customize the SUSANOO and eyes. Now, this is actually a really cool mechanic because it actually does customize your eyes even past, you know, Akuma. Any mode actually can customize your eye. It works for some modes, it doesn't work for other ones. Now, this was actually a really cool mechanic because a lot of people that have Akuma only have it for this mechanic. You can actually go to the tombstone in Ember. When you actually go to the tombstone, it allows you to actually customize everything about the Akuma SUSANOO. Now, that's actually a really cool mechanic. I wish more things in the game were customizable. Like, I wish like some of the other things in the game, like color scheme or just like how they look and stuff. I think it's a very cool mechanic. It definitely should be applied to more bloodlines in the game in the future. And I actually do think it's a lot of things. It's something that a lot of people forget about. Now, number three is going to be the KENJUTSU weapon spec. Now, even though this one actually was a recent introduction, actually fizzled out of the meta quite quickly, and because of that, I do feel like people forgot about it. Now, the KENJUTSU weapon spec is when you actually go to, I believe it's Nimbus Village, in the corner of the map, there is a giant mansion. You go in there, you talk to the trainer, you get a custom blade, and it allows you to fight him 5 times to actually get your KENJUTSU weapon spec. You also have a base KENJUTSU weapon spec. It's not the greatest in the world, but you know, you get it. But the reason why people generally forgot about this is because it's not really that good to do anymore ever since they nerfed it. Now, on the topic of KENJUTSU, coming in number 4 is going to be 2 KENJUTSU slots. This one actually was added last update and nobody knows about it. You want to know why? Because nobody really cares about 2 KENJUTSU slots. I think it was a really cool mechanic to add to the game. I think, you know, for the people that actually use KENJUTSUs, or if any cool KENJUTSUs are added in the future, it could be a really cool mechanic to add. But as it is right now, there's really no point in having 2 KENJUTSUs because there's only generally 1 or 2 good KENJUTSUs in the entire game, and most people already have it. So the second KENJUTSU slot's kind of a waste at the moment, but I'm sure in the future if they add more KENJUTSUs, it will be a lot more important.
Have you ever gotten 80th spin rarity and gotten something like just atomic? Well, that's because you haven't hit the like button on this video yet. If you hit the like button on this video, you're guaranteed to get 10 million times luck. 100%.
Now, coming in at number 5 is going to be the dungeon game mode. Now, a lot of people forgot dungeons even exist because, you know, the limited bloodlines, they just view it as limited bloodlines. No, they're actually dungeon bloodlines, aka, you know, they're somewhat limited. You could go to the dungeon game mode. The rarities were reduced recently, so it's a lot easier to get the bloodlines from dungeons. The reason why nobody does dungeons is because dungeons is hard. It's a really hard game mode. Now, you actually need a lot of coordination with your squad. You need a lot of, you know, damage. You need a lot of healing. You have to have a full squad of people, and you have to be, you know, very observant. Also, game passes do drop from the dungeons game mode, but it's very rare to the point where it's not even worth doing the dungeons for the game pass. You're only doing it for the bloodline, but like I said, you do have to have a full squad to do it, and you actually have to have people who know what they're doing as well. It can't just be noob, which is kind of what dungeons is meant for, so it kind of contradicts each other. I actually do think the challenge is quite good, but it has resulted in less people playing the game mode overall. Even though it is, you know, a little bit more fun than it used to be, it's a little bit too hard in my opinion. The coming in 6 is going to be knockback is a type of stun. Now, I'm not going to talk about this that much because a lot of people may know this or not know this, but knockback is a type of stun. So the final M1 is a type of stun. Any move that has knockback is actually it's a form of stun move, because while they're actually in the air getting knocked back, they do have end lag, which actually makes it so they can't use moves or anything like that. So it is a form of stun. Now, on the topic of stuns, coming in 7th place is going to be the double stun mechanic. Now, when you stun someone twice in a row and they're still stunned, it actually will make it so they're not stunned at all. Now, I'm sure Rel did this to, counteract actually stun stacking. You can't stun stack in the game anymore without people actually, doing something about it. But if you actually time your stuns correctly, you can actually avoid the double stun mechanic entirely. But as it is right now, the double stun mechanic is a thing in the game, and a lot of people actually don't know exists, because I actually get double stunned quite a bit, and it results in them losing the entire fight. Now, coming in 8th place, it could be mentors. Now, this is actually a mechanic that is extremely important to the game overall, because mentors are important. If you're fighting someone that's using a mentor and you're not, and you're equally as skilled, the mentor user will win every time. The passives are extremely strong. If you're unaware of what mentors are, they're hidden throughout some of the villages. They actually give you, so you actually have higher stat points, and they allow you to get passives on some of your stat points, like extra chi regen, stronger block, and stuff like that. They're just really important. The passives are extremely good, and the extra stats will help you out a ton. Now, 9th is going to be water actually drains your chi. Now, if you've ever been on the water, you may actually not know this, because the chi regen is so small. Yes, it does drain your chi. It can be somewhat impactful if you're fighting on the water and you run out of chi and you're like, oh no, I'm out of chi, and you try to charge it and it doesn't charge as fast because you're actually getting it you're getting it taken away from you. But generally, people don't really know this happens just because the chi regen isn't really existent. If they made it drain more, it would be very funny in my opinion. Now, 10th place is gonna be gingerbread man is the rarest item in the game. I'm pretty sure it's 1 out of 200,000 or something like that. It's an extremely rare item. You guys may have forgotten this, and that's why it's going to be on this list. Now, 11th is going to be that game modes actually give you row coins. Now, the reason why people forgot about this is because the row coin amount is so insignificant that you're not going to be earning anything unless you have the ×2 row coin game pass. But in general, game modes give row coins. It's a thing in the game. It's not very important, and it's not very lucrative either. Now, coming to 12th is going to be that you can change your chi color by going into the menu and clicking the chi color game pass. Now, please be aware you cannot gift it to other people, so you can't change their chi color. It will only change your own, but you can actually change your chi color in the game, and actually is a really cool mechanic. Now, 13th is going to be a very important one. You get a free moveset slot. So if you press M on the top right, there is a moveset bar. You get the first one for free with no bloodline back. Now, this is an extremely important mechanic because it actually gives you a safety net if you're a free-to-play player. So if you're free-to-play, you can actually save your moveset and spin away all of your bloodlines, elements, and stuff like that. And if you don't get anything good, you can then load your moveset back and get those bloodlines back. It is a safety net, a thing in the game. It's actually an extremely important mechanic, and I do actually want you guys to know about this one. Now, 14th is going to be a play on history of the Shindo Life. Shindai Kuma was game breaking. It was not game breaking as in bugs. It was game breakingly broken. Now, a lot of people forget just how OP Shindai was, so let me just go through it for you guys real quick. The first ability used to do 4 times the amount of damage. The counter actually used to, trigger, and actually used to trigger counters on the opposing person. So if you use this Zimsenko and then you use the counter of Shindai, because by the way, it wasn't on the counter global cooldown, it was on the clone global cooldown, it would actually trigger a Zim and one-shot the other player. Now, the second ability used to be the size of the entire Ember village, not even joking by that, and it used to block break, it used to be instant, and the cooldown used to be lower. Yes. Now, the only issue with this is that it was slow, but the reason why it doesn't matter if it was slow is because the AoE of it was so massive you could not escape this ability at the time. And then the third ability was actually a block-breaking ability that actually was a stun. It was a delayed stun. There's not much else to say other than that. It was a block-breaking delayed stun. Now, this hasn't actually got me up to the point of the C spec, or the C mode. The reason why the C mode was so broken, if you went into the 4th, which was the true Samurai Spirit one, which you didn't have to grind for because they didn't add it, it actually used to use your weapon spec, and it did more damage than it does now. So if you were to use if you stun them at Q spec, C spec, and you had Thread Blade, it would immediately one-shot them. They could do nothing about it. Shindai was just game-breakingly broken. That's the whole point of it. Now, 15th is going to be Toad Curse and Worm Stage give you more stats as you actually get hit by people. Also, sometimes the stats does actually carry over depending on if it bugs out or not, and you actually do keep the stats even when you're unmodded, which is obviously, pretty funny. Now, 16th, I'm not going to talk about this that much, but Kendo arts exist in the game. People forget kendos even exist at all, but kendo arts in general, they kind of mix them into the actual martial arts section of the game. The only one they have left to do is shock. I wouldn't be surprised if one day they removed it from the game, and people would literally never notice because nobody cares about these, nobody ever uses them, and they already exist in the game at in some form of function. Now, 17th is going to be that you could change your keybinds. Now, this is actually a very underrated mechanic in this game. Changing your keybinds is insanely important to actually actually being, you know, somewhat good at PvP in this game. Now, you can get good at PvP without changing your keybinds, but in general, that you actually perform a lot better, a lot easier if you actually use keybinds in the game. Now, my keybinds are, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, QER, you know, stuff like that. You can make your keybinds whatever makes you the most comfortable, and actually, I do think the original keybinds kind of suck, in my opinion. They actually make it harder to play the game, you know, honestly. And I have been told that once people change the my keybind specifically, they actually instantly became better at PvP in this game. So it's a very underrated mechanic, very important for computer players. Now, 18th is going to be my home. Now, this game mode actually is how you get free spins, free Ryo, and you can actually save your outfits in this. Now, the reason why people generally forget about this is because if you don't really care about saving your outfits, or if you don't care about AFKing in the game, you would generally never go here. And a lot of people don't even know this exists at all. So there you go. The my home mechanic actually still exists in the game. Now, 19th is going to be customizable clothes and face. You could customize your clothes, you could customize your face. As you saw, I actually had a new outfit in the game, a new face, just to show you guys this mechanic. You can actually customize it. You can make it whatever you want. As long as it's on Roblox, you can make it onto your character. So you can do some really wacky, funny stuff if you want. By the way, guys, what is the #1 thing that you have forgotten in this video? For free and 10 minute comments below, we'll be checking them out. Now, coming to 20th place is going to be the entire Shindo Storm game mode. Now, a lot of people forgot this exists in the game because they do not update it at all. It's kind of one of those game modes that just like sits there. The leaderboard and competitive of Shindo Storm is glitched, so it doesn't ever reset, so there's no point in ever farming for it. And Shindo Storm in general hasn't gotten any nerfs or buffs. It hasn't gotten changed at all in a long time. No new characters or anything like that, so it's just kind of a forgotten game mode in general. I actually do really enjoy the game mode. I think if they added, you know, 2 more abilities to every single character, it would be a much more fun game mode overall. And it's definitely a game mode worth checking out if you guys haven't yet. Anyways, guys, that's for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, post to guys. Bye-bye.